Yeah, I just want to congratulate Tommy Robinson on getting almost 40,000 votes in the Northwest constituency for the EU elections. I think he come third as sort of votes per candidate, and behind the Brexit Party and behind the Labour Party, but above the Lib Dems and above all the others, such as the Greens. So it was an outstanding performance, really, because it was such a short window on which to campaign. And his campaign was really thwarted by the lack of mainstream media exposure. I mean, I rang up radio stations on his behalf and television stations to try and organise interviews for him and to get him some coverage, and they just weren't interested. As soon as his name was mentioned, they just dropped it. So not only that, he got really hostile press, but I don't think that really hurt him, because in a short campaign like Tommy had, any publicity is good publicity. The fact he mobilised 40,000 people to vote for him, it's very unusual. That's the highest ever vote for an independent in the European Union election. So it was an achievement, really. We did hope that he could get elected, but it was really wishful thinking, I think. He needed probably 200,000 votes. To mobilise a constituency of that size in such a short period of time, without a political party, you're asking for a miracle. I mean, Tommy really needs to campaign on a political platform allied to a political party. I mean, he could have stood for Britain. Yeah, so Tommy needs to be part of a political movement that can give him the activists and give him the party which people can recognise. It's very difficult to win elections against parties as an individual. It never happens. I mean, it would have been a miracle if Tommy to pull that off. I mean, given the fact that Tommy has grown into a national and international superstar on the back of social media, his exposure on social media. He had 1 million followers on Facebook. He had huge following on Twitter. They were cut off from him. He was given no social media coverage at all. It was worse than that. Anyone who showed any sympathy to Tommy, including myself, on Facebook or any social media, was banned and disabled. It was crazy. I've never known censorship like that in Britain. I've never known it. It was so thorough. It was totalitarian. It was like something out of the Stalinist Russia. He'd become a non-person. So given that context, I think his 40,000 votes was quite an achievement. And it was a great campaign. I mean, his rallies were brilliant at connecting people and networking with people. I met so many great people on those rallies. Now, there's talk that he created violence, he created tension, he created conflict. Tommy didn't do that at all. He just exercised his democratic right to hold assemblies. It was his opponents who caused all the trouble. Tommy wasn't interested in causing trouble. He was interested in pushing his message. And his message is very important. In fact, it's more important than ever. If Britain is to survive, we need to stop mass immigration. If Britain is to survive, we need to stop Islamization. If Britain is to survive, we need to reawaken our national spirit. We need an awakening in this country. We can no longer afford to wander around like sheep while our political elite, which is supposed to protect us, is selling us out and destroying us. The people who run this country are a criminal political elite, and they've got to be taken down. I mean, it's going to be Nigel Farage's job to do that. It's going to be the Nationalist job to make that real. Farage, the Brexit Party, is the big boy on the block, but we need different voices as well at a lower level. I mean, we've seen Salvini's success in Italy. Salvini's got satellite parties such as the Brothers for Italy or Forza Italia. They're Casa Pound. They're manoeuvring on the ground, building up support for Salvini all the time. We need to challenge the globalists at every level. And it was amazing when Tommy came into Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool, over 40% voted Labour. It was the highest Labour vote in the country. But Tommy came here and he challenged the status quo in the city. We've got to challenge the status quo, the political status quo, wherever we can, and change things in this country so that we survive. We're in a battle for survival. We can take great sort of encouragement from what's happened in Italy, where Salvini won, 35% of the vote? And his allies won another 15, 16%, over 50% of the vote. for the Nationalist in Italy. Italy is now a beacon of light in Western Europe. Marine Le Pen, who was supposed to have been destroyed by Macron at that last presidential election, she won the election in France. I mean, she had to face the French state, the French media, all the French institutions were all sort of allied against her to stop her winning, and yet she beat Macron. That shows the popular support she has in France and how vulnerable Macron is. These superstars of the European Union are very vulnerable. We saw it in Germany. The Christian Democrat, the government, only got 28%. Everyone said the AfD failed, but they got 11%. They've got strongholds now within Germany, which they can build upon. And we saw in Poland, the Law and Justice Party, the Nationalist Party in Poland, which supposedly was in decline, won 43% of the vote. They're going to win a supermajority at the next general election, just as Orban has won in Hungary this time in the European election. He's won a supermajority. There are nationalist strongholds now emerging all over Europe, and the left is in full retreat. And so there's great hope for the nationalist cause now. And Tommy was part of that, and our campaign was part of that. We're all united. We've all got to come together. We've got to pool together and just forget our differences, because our enemy is the globalist, the criminal political elite, which is seeking to destroy the West, and the processes that we have to fight: mass immigration, Islamization, and the destruction of our culture. We are standing up for what the people really want. Strong borders. They want to see our traditional lifestyle preserved. Even in small things, like in the FA Cup final recently at Wembley, where they weren't allowed to squirt champagne anymore in case it offended Muslims. What a load of nonsense. This is about undermining every area of our culture. We have to defend our culture, and we have to defend our economy. We're sick of seeing our factories close here, go to the Far East, go somewhere else. We want our government to protect our jobs in this country. These are important battles. These are battles which impact on people's lives, and they impact most of all on the working class. This is the point about Tommy's campaign. He stirred up working class people in this region in the Northwest, and even, of course, across England. He has got sort of a voice on YouTube and on Telegram. The Labour Party don't like this. The Labour Party constituency is falling apart. We need to get the working class on board for the nationalist cause. It's all hands to the pump, guys, but we're going to win this battle. Thank you. Just remind everybody, subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to press the bell so you get notification of our future videos. We're pouring out as many videos as we can at the moment. We want to raise the voice of nationalism in Britain and across Europe. We've got projects in mind, and we're going to need some help to bring these projects to fruition. If you'd like to make a contribution to this channel, there's a PayPal link in the description below. All donations are gladly received and will help towards this project. Thank you.